Everybody meet Token.
The black liberal woman has been coddled to the point where she is essentially become an infant. She has become a child, one who does not suffer the consequences of their actions, one who is consistently and perpetually made to feel okay about their terrible decisions. You know, when you're dealing with an infant, with a child, with a toddler, you look to correct that child. However, there's still a lot of leeway as far as what that child can get away with. Well, this is exactly what has happened with the modern or the liberal feminist black woman. More than any other demographic, this is the one group who can get away with everything. And instead of having the backlash that most people should get, they are celebrated for it.
This is the one demographic that can get away with everything. And instead of having the backlash that they should get, they get celebrated for. The one demographic you, fuckface, can think of. You token. Oh, I got time today. Let's do this. What's up, YouTube? Drill Sergeant here. And in my last video where I was flaming and destroying and dismantling ignorant, imbecilic, rent-a-cop Black MAGA supporter, someone left in my comments, actually her name was Andin916. Andin916 said, right, like how dare anyone support Trump? Check out Aquarius Wave. Anton Daniels, Moody Speaks, and I'm not going to say the rest of them. Don't go there. Don't check them out. Because I just went ahead and picked the first one, Aquarius Wave. And wow, YouTube, was I surprised at the level of ignorance we found here. This guy is a little bit different. This guy is one of the guys who actually thinks that him constantly dismantling the community, dogging them out, is somehow actually being conscious or uplifting. He thinks that he's special, not because white people like him, but they do because they pay him. And at the end, it's so good, the dirt that I got. He's being paid for sure. It's not just by the coffee, buy me a coffee link at the bottom of his link. But no, he thinks he's a musician, you know, he's an artist type, and he thinks he's being esoteric by being a dummy, an idiot. By thinking that he thinks things that no one else could have thought because all the rest of the blacks are ignorant. And he's here to teach them. Now, the money does help him, make that up in his head. It helps him sleep at night and think he's correct. So without making the intro any longer, I'm going to just present 4 of his videos out of hundreds that he has, dogging black people, every one of them, destroying his own community on purpose. And I just picked 4 because they were almost random, because every one of them is just as bad. Don't go watch it. I'm saving you the trouble. And out of these 4, I'm just going to dismantle it. I'm going to give you a little bit of education that he missed, context he decides to throw away while throwing away his own people in the process. And at the end, once I analyze these 4 videos and you realize how unbelievably traitorous, stupid, ignorant, and racist this unfortunate man is, then I'm going to give you the dirt. I'm going to give you what he doesn't tell you in his videos, what he doesn't tell you why he's trying to be esoteric about who's paying him. And then I'm going to tell you how when I found that out, they have constantly attacked the channel and even my computer. This is why this didn't come out yesterday. The people who he's in bed with, I say that all purposely, well, they're a little bit more powerful. And I showed my hand a bit too early. So, I'm getting demonetized for a lot of things all of a sudden. Get my computers attacked all of a sudden. And all of the evidence almost has been scrubbed from his channel of who pays him. But I got enough. They're not that good. Let's just take a look at the first video. I'm going to cut in. I'm going to analyze. Just check this token out. Meet Token, YouTube.
These niggas trying to sign me for $1,000. Man, I got $1,000. What y'all talking about? I got it. I'm voting them. nigga. I come slide on y'all block with the Glock out, hold 16 shots, boy. Hit 16 niggas at the same time. And he came with some hollow, boy. I already know. Nigga, anything I lemon sweet, boy. I'm finna throw a switch on this thing, boy. This thing gonna be dumping, boy, on me. I need that, boy. I got that. This thing gonna be dumping.
Okay. Do we have to have this conversation again? Yes. We have to have this conversation until we no longer have to have the conversation. We have to have the conversation until there is no longer a need for it because it's no longer happening. The fact that we have a little boy acting in that way on camera shows us that there is an infrastructure, an environment, there is a culture, as we like to say, that has let him down. There's a culture that has set him up for absolute failure. And today I'm going to step away from the blame game situation, because I oftentimes point to, historic context, LBJ, etc. And I know that it is almost impossible to separate history or the past from the present, especially in our brains that need some sort of, pattern and sequence to make sense of why we're doing what we're doing right now. But I want to focus in on where we are right here, where this is the product of the quote unquote culture. A culture that I was told to protect and to preserve because I was black. They said, because you're black, not only are you not allowed to criticize this culture, but you have to endorse it and promote it. So when I was listening to the Bee Gees, Hall & Oates, man, why are you listening to that white shit for? Aren't you black? When I was acting in a certain way, man, why are you doing that white shit? Aren't you black? And so in my own psyche, I believe that to be black was to be that.
YouTube, we'll stop right there, and I'm not going to have to go too deep. He said it himself. He believes that to be black was to be that, because they bullied him about the music he listened to. There's more to the story, though. That's not the only reason. Because I can tell you this, without giving away too much, I myself, as an immigrant from another country and being raised in the black culture here, I do listen to other music than all the other black folks where I came from. I had listened to people like Metallica, Helmet, AC/DC, Megadeth, Pantera. These were some of my favorite bands. As a musician, I listen to all music. Unlike him, I didn't blame my awkwardness, or straight up nerdiness on all black people who shunned me. What I did was I grew a spine and spoke up for myself. And then after doing that, I got a girlfriend. And then expanded my taste in music by having other friends and listening to hip-hop, a little bit of R&B. You see, that's what humans do who are well-regulated emotionally. So this is your first clue, YouTube, of the type of person we're dealing with, and I just got to keep it going.
I'm so sick and tired of all this, but black culture is jazz music, black culture is the blues, black culture is Motown, black culture. I'm talking about today, right now. Nobody cares, not in your relationship with your wife or your husband or your children, what happened 50 years ago, 40, 30, 20 years ago.
You're lying. The Bee Gees were 50 years ago. So was Hall & Oates, you awkward nerd. What you mean to say is, instead of choosing to listen to jazz, R&B, Motown, and some of the great black music that was available, you chose to listen to what you listened to, and there's nothing wrong with that. Don't come back now and say, oh, it doesn't matter about back then. No, you chose it. The music you chose from back then was also white. And instead of opening your ears and your mind to maybe listen to something else as well, you did what you're doing now. You blamed everyone around you that made you feel insecure and came up with an excuse as to why it's their fault. Say that then. Say that then. Now, after he goes on his diatribe that is completely wrong, malinformed, and an absolutely intellectually incurious analysis of what he thinks is going on, I'm going to give you the truth of what's going on in the music, the culture, and what we just saw from that poor little kid who is unfortunate for sure, but from the eyes of someone who cares, not from the eyes of someone who disdains his own. Not from a racist, white supremacist, ball licker of Donald Trump. Now, let's hear what he has to say first.
This is the issue, and these are the people that are perpetuating the issue. Not just most affected. You're not just affected because it's happening. You're affected because you're the carrier of it. You're carrying the virus that is the ghetto mentality. You're a carrier. You're harboring it. And you're passing it on. He's already got a weapon. I don't know if it's real or not. I'm not going to show it in real life. But he has got a weapon on him. And, you know, somebody pulled out money out of their account. Unless he is really selling dope at that young age, he's done already.
You racist hologram of an actual black person. Do you understand that the only reason why you said that, the only reason why it's possible for you to think that this 6-year-old kid is actually selling drugs is because, like all racists, many other races see black people and black kids as older than they are. This is the second thing out of a list of many that you will produce for us today, you absolute fucking moron. The 5-year-old cannot be selling drugs. Do you know what it entails? They would steal it from him. He's not selling crack. He's 5. But you don't see a child. What you see is an N-word, older than he is. To you, his skin is thicker because it's black. This is well known. This is why many women, black women, go to the ER instead of the maternity ward. Because their experience there is horrible. Because they think they can handle more pain. This is documented. It's not me making it up. There's something called facts. And you even saying that absolute nonsense, you cookie, you are showing us what you are and who you're kowtowing to and what you believe. And I believe I know how you got that way. That's later.
It's catching on to every demographic. It's become normalized. And that's why when I speak on this, it's like, though, you know, again, oh, you're just picking on these people. No. If it's like if that virus is in a certain group of people and they're the largest carrier, first and foremost, you need to help to get as many of those people aware to be like, hey, we got to treat. And the ones who are not willing to be treated, then you got to separate. You got to separate so you don't catch it, and then make sure that nobody else catches it. So you separate completely from that. That's what's going on. It's a mental virus. As they talk about the woke mind virus, it's a mental virus that has taken over. And its basis is this victimhood mentality that allows for you to act as a child. You get away with everything without consequence, in essence. Why is this okay? Because when it's all said and done, they can just point back to the white man and say, the white man is the reason.
I'm going to make this short and sweet, and I'm going to give you a history lesson. In the early 1980s, hip-hop, as we know it, what was popular and what black people chose as their music when white radio stations wouldn't play it, was about peace, getting drugs out of the neighborhood. What's going on across the world? Around the world, Run DMC, LL Cool J, I need love. What you don't know is Sugar Hill Gang was talking about what was in their communities at the same time as well. Just like all music from all cultures, that's what music does. Then, the virus that took over was called capitalism. 4 companies, music companies, oligarchies, own 90% of all music on earth today. One of those 4, Universal Music Group, bought stake in Def Jam from Russell Simmons, the then owner and CEO, who then sold it completely to them later on in the 90s. That same music group, Universal Music Group, owned by white people with a lot of money, bought Radio 1 and started to push a certain kind of hip-hop. Not the ones that were uplifting and talking about not getting drugs in the neighborhood and saving your community. Oh, by the way, wow, what a shock. The virus, you uncultured swine, you unintellectual, posing and pretending to be smarter than you are, was not black people's mind. That's not a virus, you racist shitface. The virus was the corporation that realized that drugs and sex and money sells. So they bought the radio station, Radio 1. They bought the biggest hip-hop label that had LL Cool J, Run DMC, and other pioneers, and alongside pushing their singles, also went ahead and pushed as much of the other stuff as they could. The same people who pushed Britney Spears in a mini skirt, getting wet with a white t-shirt on or a white button down, walking through a high school. Yeah, the same group that has Shakira shaking her booty all over the world, making billions off of her. That's the same companies. The virus isn't the black people, you racist shitface. The virus is the people who promoted the music that sold the most. Because even today, there's Kendrick Lamar. Even today, there's just as many hip-hop artists that don't talk about the same things Lil Durk and the rest of them do. Lil Durk grew up in a certain place and has the right to talk about what he sees. The second problem that I have with your statement, because of your racist vision, your biased analysis, and your intellectually incurious analysis of what you see there, is the fact that you say people act like children while looking at a child.
To act as a child, you get away with everything without consequence, in essence.
And condemning him as if he was an adult.
To act as a child, you get away with everything without consequence, in essence.
Make it make sense, you fucking bigot. Make it make sense. You use his face and say he's part of a virus, not even a human being. What about this? No mention of this virus, that culture, this cultural virus. That bar for white kids is pretty high. How many school shootings? How many? How many mass murders? How many? Black guy? Huh? No mention of that virus in your hundreds upon hundreds of videos that I had to go through for this crap? A racist does that. White supremacy sees violence all around him, commits it every day, and has an excuse for it, and then sees one black person doing one thing violent and says, look at them, they're all violent, while never looking at himself because they're racists like you. You have never thought further than the length of your black nose for the hatred of yourself. That's a child. You say in one breath people act like children without consequences, while you give major consequences to the actual child you're talking about, because you see him as an actual drug dealer at 5 years old, not a stupid kid doing a dumb thing. Because you're a racist piece of shit. Here's video 2.
I'm not going to sit here and pretend I know exactly what the hell is going on with our guy Elon. You know, I don't know if this is drug-induced psychosis. I don't know if this is activities on the spectrum. I don't know. But what I do know is that I voted for DJT. And the reason I voted for DJT, in spite of what my quote-unquote culture was telling me, or my quote-unquote community was essentially promoting and pushing me to.
You love that word culture. Remember that.
Whatever the hell that means, right? They've called him the little mustache man, a fascist. They've called him a racist, sexist, homophobe, this, that, and the third. You name it, they have put that title upon him. They have looked to incarcerate the man multitudes of times, looked to give him 700 years in total in prison time. They have looked to destroy him in every single way possible.
And every single one of them, every single one of those times, is because he committed the crime.
So again, my loyalty is because for 8 to 10 years, I have been willing to think for myself, just like many of y'all. Though I was afraid to articulate it for many of those years, I still stood strong in my conviction because I was willing to see the truth of who this man was as opposed to the propaganda that was being pushed.
So, once again, you call it thinking for yourself, but that means when you say it is willing to push all evidence aside that makes you have to think for yourself. You stupid token.
So without further ado, let us introduce this clip right here. And yeah, again, take it as you will. You don't have to take my word for it, anybody else's word for it. You can do your own research, as I would hope you do for everything.
Now, one best-selling crime writer is also turning heads with a new book that reveals the Mar-a-Lago owner actually kicked out South Florida financier Jeffrey Epstein. The incident allegedly took place at Mar-a-Lago back in 1999. One chapter in the book, Filthy Rich, details.
And here's the last piece of the puzzle, YouTube. You see, he's not showing the picture of them dancing. He's not showing, well, after all of this supposedly happened at Mar-a-Lago, Trump actually saying he's a great guy, and yes, he likes younger girls, and yes, he's my friend and fun to be around. He's not showing all of the other things that he has to push away to feel special and different from the people who always thought he was an Aki weirdo cookie. What he's showing is the one thing that there is no evidence of. They looked. There's no evidence. There is no evidence or record in Mar-a-Lago. Video written down in the manager's room or in a drawer or in a safe anywhere. Everybody who's ever been kicked out of Mar-a-Lago gets recorded as such, so they don't come back in. His name wasn't there. There's no record of this. The only record is this person who wrote a book out, who was never there, and who has no sources. Cites no sources.
Tells how Epstein was a regular.
And more importantly, so what? If this is what you cling to, he kicked Epstein out one time, as opposed to all of the flight evidence, phone calls, video recording, audio recording of Epstein himself. And this is what you go to, it's because this is what you want to believe. Just like you believe that black culture somehow is an American culture, and we're all not dying because of runaway capitalism. We're all not dying because of a servitude to indecency to make people rich. You believe it's intrinsic in being black, because that makes you special, a special Negro.
At the club, but that all ended when a member's young daughter complained to her wealthy father. While relaxing at Mar-a-Lago, she had been approached and invited out to Epstein's house. The girl said that she had gone and that Epstein had tried to get her to undress. The girl's father had gone directly to Trump, who in no uncertain terms told Epstein that he was barred from Mar-a-Lago. That's all in chapter 33 of the book. Epstein later served just 13 months in county jail after pleading guilty to procuring minors for prostitution, and the reasons are a large part of that book.
Interesting. Some could say that Trump was coming to the defense of a young girl. Others might say he was trying to save his revenue and keep a wealthy member or customer happy. Either way, the story goes, Donald Trump kicked a predator out of the Mar-a-Lago club there.
Something you don't hear. There's something nice that you don't always hear on these entertainment.
Yeah, of course not. It's something you don't hear because they are propagandists looking to push an establishment message. They hate DJT because they hate us. And who is us? Those of us who are willing to think for ourselves. Those of us who actually believe in this thing called America, right? We believe in economic.
Maxwell case logs show how frequently Trump flew on Epstein jets. Bill Clinton, too. Donald Trump appears to have flown on Jeffrey Epstein's private jet 6 more times than was previously known, according to flight logs released as evidence in Ghislaine Maxwell's trial. Previous disclosures of portions of Epstein's flight log have shown world leaders, billionaires and celebrities among the many passengers who have flown on Epstein's private.
So how do you know this?
That was close to straight.
So I need the dump. Just give me Donald.
you probably know he had a scalp reduction. Because he had the same male pattern movement that we all have. He had his scalp moved, and it's hysterical.
Continued perpetual story of you're a slave, and that's why you are in the place that you are, right? Taking away the reality that even after, or even at the end and in the midst of slavery, there were black folk who were able to not only do for self, but were able to create lives that were far beyond their white counterparts who genuinely had a more than a leg up, we could say, right? Well, a little more than just privilege at
The individual, yet again, people. What he just said there was, if you take into account all of the people with the leg up who owned slaves, but the few people who got out somehow negate all of the people with the leg up who owned slaves. What are you talking about? A human interest story? What does that mean when everyone else is enslaved? How many would have gotten out if they weren't caught and shot and beat and castrated and hung and fed to alligators? There could have been more. I don't know. It doesn't matter. The system was the problem.
When the Democratic Party was trying to keep slavery intact and then created Jim Crow laws, and we step into the Jim Crow era, and you still have black folk who are thriving in those spaces, even though you have this Democratic Party who is trying to eradicate and crush any element that is not of their own, right? You have people who are prospering in those times, and we fast forward to 2024, and now we want to talk about this is the result of slavery. This is the result of culture.
There is no such thing as a white culture to him. Since he loves, whenever he says culture, it's not the American culture he's talking about. He's right, it's the result of the culture. The culture that was enslaving people, that was keeping black people as separate, using them as animals. The culture of graping folks who weren't like them. The culture of doing what you want without consequence. That culture is the one you mean? Is that the one? You see, you separate these other cultures because you're a racist freak. What culture? These people didn't even know their own language, have their own religion. The culture they had was adopted by the people who took them from their land. If there's a culture here, it's a culture of subjugation. Are we to judge the white people by their culture in this country? What is that culture? You've never mentioned it. Is their systemic racism the result of the culture of systemic racism and slavery and Jim Crow that you just mentioned without ever mentioning the word culture? If your assessment was truthful and honest, intellectually curious, you would also realize that the culture that you say with such demeaning tones because it's about black people, of which you hate, is indeed derived from a culture of utter disgusting hate. That's a culture. That's the other part that you never mentioned. The only culture that you see is this one, because the overriding one that we all live in somehow makes you feel like a special Negro when you talk about ours. That's why you're here. You virus. You racist token freak.
Build a life, become successful, thrive, get married and have children, have a family, right? We now live in a day and age where these things are more rare than they are the norm, where the family unit is broken apart. Yet in slavery, you had more families together than you do today.
Families were sold and separated systematically. What are you talking about? You had more families together in slavery than you do today. Only a racist, bigot, uneducated, incurious, diabolical, virus freak like you would even believe something like that. Families were systematically split up and sold away. while wives were raped in the big house and the children were used to create more property. What are you talking about? You fake, filthy, cultural degenerate. You don't believe that, do you? Now, I finally come back. I've had these computer issues, and what you saw there was the best I could do, giving my emotional and intellectual, contextual, and historical responses to this fool, to this idiot, to this virus, to our country, and especially to black people who watch him, listen to him, and think that somehow he's a smart guy, because the analysis that it takes to dispute anything that he says within 1 second of every one of his videos is just a little bit more than they have when clicking through a YouTube page. It's not their fault. It's who pays him. As I said before, something strange happened. And here's the dirt, people. When you see these people who support Trump and you see this black guy talking about every single thing, every single time he used the word culture, it's about his own people. And there's no smoke for the MAGA people out there with Confederate flags and masks on. No smoke for the neo-Nazis out there marching through black cities. None. No smoke. The reason why is because on many of his videos, there was a company called Chapter Medicaid Solutions. I saw this and I looked into it. And YouTube, you would be surprised at what I found out. You see, once you're a filthy scumbag, just like Trump and his ilk, you hang with filthy scumbags. If you don't get Medicaid through one of their agents, instead of just Medicaid.gov, going there where you can get anything you need, they just throw you away if you don't get it through one of them, and they will, that's what this person says. I didn't just make that up. And here are the reviews. But the other reviews I have here, that's from the employees. Just like a scammy, greasy, 2-bit hustler that you are, black man. This company uses their agents, promises them a big check, has them do all the calls, and leaves them high and dry. But that's not all. It turns out that there's money that's backing you and your highfalutin, ridiculous, I'm a black person almost page is owned by Peter Thiel, given money by Peter Thiel. Palantir, the people who just got commissioned to surveil the entire USA on over 100 data points per person, the surveillance state. Now, when I saw that, I realized that I needed to say something. You're being backed by the same people who are backing Trump, the same people he's using to put democracy on its last leg. They love you, token, and you're being spent well. I was not expecting to see Peter Thiel's name. So YouTube is so important to understand that all the research I did about this Chapter Medicare group was because I saw it on a video from Aquarius Wave. So imagine my surprise when I go back to Aquarius Wave and the video nor the banners on any video is there. I know, it's hard to believe. I wouldn't believe it. So I went to my history, and on the day of, it shows every video that I watched, but curiously, only a search for Aquarius Wave. And you're telling me that I searched for it, pressed enter, all the videos of his came up, and I said, nah, I'll watch it another time. I didn't watch it? That's crazy. Every video I watched and the timestamp, one after the other. It scrubbed YouTube. They scrubbed it because I played my hand too early, and that's wild. Palantir is crazy. Now, when I tell you about all of the issues I've had and the viruses all of a sudden, although my multiple VPNs the programs that no longer work, and the demonetization all of a sudden of videos that were never demonetized. When you ask who's behind it, say it quietly. They've spent you wisely. And every black person that watches you is a failure to this democracy unless they change who they're watching. And this is my plea to you. If there's nothing else that you get from this, if you know people who watch this filth and think that he has a point because he's good at it, he's paid for this, music didn't get him anywhere, you can check his link tree. It sucks. The stuff he was making before this hard right turn wasn't going anywhere. Peter Thiel is backing your boy. And if that doesn't give you pause, I don't know what will. You're following the Pied Piper to your own demise, black people. Dispute anything that I've said here and let me know. Now, if you want to know how to do research like I did, how to find out the things that I find out, or maybe even a little bit more and fight back behind the shadows, you can email me too. Drill Sergeant got a Spec Ops team. Cool? Yeah. Uh-huh. And I'm not done with that rent-a-cop police officer, Black MAGA sycophant either. It's still coming. Oh, and the other guy, Joe Miller. Oh, it's still coming. There's more. I got around it. And I'll continue to get around it. I'll continue to fight back in every way I have to ensure that I get the truth to the people. Because unlike you token, you hologram of a black person, white supremacist, I actually care about the people who watch this channel. Educate yourself, YouTube. Educate others. And then come back for more. And guys, I have a nearly 2-hour video debunking every single one of these idiots' points and his stupid videos, and it's hilarious, informative, and even more background on what we're talking about here. But it's going to be on Patreon because what you see here took 22 hours to make. This video took 22 hours because of the attack that they're doing to my computer and my programs and to my entire systems, more than one. So they don't want this out. This took 22 hours and I had to get it out for you today. So on Patreon, I'm going to put the nearly 2-hour full one later on this week, however long it takes to finish. I'll see you there. Hey, yeah, you. Before you click away to watch someone unbox a tactical toothbrush, let's talk about something real. Political Drain isn't just another content mill. We're a digital front in a very real war. Not with bullets, but with ideas, with action, and with solidarity. We pair urgent news with critical education. And we build community around actual resistance, not the hashtag kind. The kind that moves. But here's the thing. None of this is free. It isn't. Behind every video is time, labor, research, and some weird guy asking if we're going to pay the hosting bill. And yeah, some of that money goes to things we can't necessarily say out loud. If you know, you know. Let's just say our special ops aren't Call of Duty LARPers. They're people making real moves to protect, uplift, and organize. You're not just funding a channel. You're funding a resistance network in a world where capital still calls the shots. Unfortunately, in a system built on artificial scarcity, even mutual aid has a price tag. And if we want to grow, if we want to win, we need your help. We need your help. So if you've got even a few bucks to spare, toss it our way. It's not for ads. It's not for merch drops, but for people making moves in the shadows so others can do it in the light. It's just us and you. So fund the mission, fund the fight, fund the future, because nobody's coming to save us. We save each other. That's how this works. Follow us on all these things you see here, and our link tree is in the description. Maybe even get some merch.